Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to etlqalabs. So guys, first of all, I would like to thank all of you who has participated in the poll that whether are you not want to learn the Selenium with Java. And I'm happy to say that we have got overwhelming response. Like more than 95% people want to learn Selenium with Java, right? And there is very good reason behind it why we need to learn Selenium with Java, right? Or any other language, for example. But Selenium is something that we should always learn, right? And why do we need to learn, right? So let me, so many of you who might not have good, I mean, not much of experience, right? I will just explain all of you where does this Selenium fits and what exactly we need to learn, and what is the, future prospect after learning Selenium with regards to your employment as well, right? So let me just quickly cover what are the different area that's where we think that the testing or we do the testing predominantly, right? So the testing aspects, right? One is basically always the manual testing, right? Which is basically also called as a functional testing, right? This this is a simple in nature. I think you just need to know about the functionality of the application. This is mostly web based, right? Web based or maybe it's basically UI based, I would say, right? So GUI, graphical user interface based testing, right? So this is called manual testing. Testing, all right. Now the second specialized testing comes under data centric testing, right? So DCT, data centric testing, which basically covers ETL testing, right? Within ETL testing, you can also say that database database testing, right? Or data warehouse testing, right? Or Linux, or you can say backend testing as a whole, right? Backend testing. This also covers your API testing, right? Or web service testing, etc. Right. So this is the one that we have been focusing predominantly across our channel, and this is what I have spent very good amount of my career in DCT or data centric testing, right? And so this is the one that we have been focusing so far. Right now, looking at the market trend, as we know that we all always need to make sure that we are always employable or we are always ahead in the market so that we always get we are always good in our technology and whatever is needed we are able to do, right? So looking at that, I also feel that we also should learn the automation testing or web automation testing, I would say, to be precise, web automation testing. So web automation testing is what, guys? This is nothing different, right? So it's just that whatever you do as part of your functional testing or manual testing using manually, right? You do it by your own. There is a tool that can actually you can do the coding, and that a tool can actually help you to do the automation testing, right? Which means it's a set of code, you run it, and then it will automatically test it, and then it will provide you the result. You can just analyze it, and if there is any failure, you can go and manually debug it, or you can check it, right? So that is what the web automation testing, right? So there are various tools in the market, right? In web automation, one of the tool I would say is the Selenium, which is very popular, and which is, I think, if I'm not wrong, maybe 80 to 90% population is already using the Selenium, right? And Selenium has got multiple supports, various different kind of languages it can support, right? So, and within that, I think the most popular one within Selenium is Java, right? So that is the reason I thought I will choose it, right? So what is the use of, what is the prospect that if you learn, let's say Selenium, right? What is the prospect, right? Selenium. So I think the people who are already experienced and who are already in the industry, they already might be aware of what is the use, what is the, good side of Selenium, learning Selenium, what kind of recognition that you get, what kind of opportunity you can get, right? So as I said that we have already covered most of the backend part here, and here we have covered the front end part, but this is the manual testing, right? Manual means in functional testing. Probably the same thing if you do using the automation, that is very good idea, right? So the same thing that you do manually here in the step one can be actually converted using the using the Selenium tool, right? So that is as simple as that, right? So here we have also learned something backend automation, right? Backend automation, we have actually learned something about Python, pandas, right? To do some sort of automation on the file level validation and all, right? So this is DCT, but to do the automation on the web-based testing, testing, or maybe functional testing, we have to really use the Selenium, right? So this is little bit background, and I'll tell you now what is the benefit if you learn it, right? So it's, I know that it's not like you can learn it overnight, right? It takes a lot of effort, right? Even to learn this DCT skills, I think it's tough, right? And then on top of that, if you want to learn Selenium, that is also another effort that you need to put. But then there is no other choice. If you really want to do good in your career, or you want to cover entire spectrum of testing, I think it's most important thing that we also should learn the web automation, right? And once you know the web automation, then you can say, look, I know this, back-end testing. I also know the front-end testing, manual front-end testing, and also know the automation testing, right? So if I say, if you also know the automation testing, then your chances of, in industry is 100%, I would say, right? So here, let's say if okay, so this actually three things makes a full package of software testing. Any job that you apply for software testing, if you learn the web automation also, or maybe Selenium as a tool, then I think you are covered from any kind of job, right? So that is what I wanted to cover, right? So probably if you learn this one and this one, maybe 70%, maybe 60%, 70%, right? But still there are jobs who actually really need automation profile, right? Soft web automation profile. In that case, we really need to learn the Selenium job, right? Selenium as a tool, right? Now, guys, so what are the things that we need to learn, right? I think I have given you some background. Why do we need to learn, right? So if you want to actually cover 100% of your prospect in any kind of job, any software testing job, you need to learn this, right? So that's very clear now. Now, what are the things that we need to learn, right? So there are a couple of things that we have to start with, right? We will go step by step. I don't want to jump, take a big jump and then, make you guys disappoint, but I just want to just go step by step so that you understand each and every aspect about it. So to learn, or you need to be a automation tester, right? So automation test engineer, right? For this, right? Uh, what you need to learn as part of Selenium. So Selenium, obviously, right? Plus Java. Now, what level of Java, right? So I will say core Java is good enough, I think. If you know the core Java, then you should be able to work on Selenium, because you really don't need to know the Java up to the level how the programmers, need to know. But it's good to know the core Java, so that you can actually write your codes very efficiently and all, right? So before even we start Selenium, if you are going for a job interview, I think they will actually test your logic. How do, because this is more of a doing the coding, right? And when you go to the job, they will actually ask you the coding. Coding is basically they will ask you certain Java programs. Let's say you are applying for Java with Selenium, right? Most majority of I would say 80-90% in 90% companies are using Selenium with Java, right? So that's the reason I have chosen Java as a language, right? Not any other language like Python or C Sharp and all. But Selenium with Java is one of the most preferred, right? And I think you should be able to. I mean, we should be able to cover everything here, right? So Java, core Java. When you go for interview, first of all, they will actually check your coding capability. They will ask you certain Java questions. They will say you, can you code all this? How do you do this and that, right? in Java, right? So they will ask you some, and then secondary is your Selenium, right? So first is Java and then second Selenium. It's never other way around. Like they will never ask you Selenium first and then ask you the questions on Java. First they want to know how good command you have on Java, right? So that is the reason I think we need to learn first Java, and then once you learn Java, I think Selenium is just using those libraries. I think it's not a big deal actually. It's very simple. Learning Selenium is very simple, but you need to know how to actually do the how to write the efficient code programmatically, right? So for that we need to learn the Java. Now, if you remember, I have already done few videos, I think one or two videos. I think I've started how to use the IntelliJ and then write your first program. I think last year, right? I think two videos are there if you look at my playlist, right? So you can find it. Now I want to actually go ahead and start from there on, right? And if you're not very familiar how to install IDE, IDE is what guys? IDE we are using actually here IntelliJ IDE, right? This is basically IDE means integrated development environment, which is actually a tool, or you can say the platform where actually you write all your codes. I'll show you in a bit, right? So you can actually install it, you can get it ready, you can write your first program. All those things are already covered in video 1 and video 2 in the playlist. I think you can go there, install it. It will not take a lot of time. It's very straightforward, right? And then after that you have to actually watch this video, or maybe whatever we are actually trying to do from here on. I think we will have a good amount of sessions on Java to understand each and everything or every aspect about Java, at least from the core Java point of view. And then later point of time we will move to Selenium. So you just need to have good amount of patience, right? And I'm sure that you will love it, because I'm going to actually cover it from very basic people who doesn't know anything to a bit of good maybe medium level of expertise, right? So I'll also cover some of the questions, tricky questions, etc., that you can expect in the interviews, right? So even whatever I have faced in my career, right? So all those questions I will cover it here, and I'm sure that you will love it. So let's do one thing. I have today. So let's start first Java, and then after that we will do the Selenium, right? So today we will learn about data types in Java, guys. Okay, data types in Java, right? So this is the very basic building block, right? So I have done some notes actually. I'll just want to go through there so that we can save some time right now. Okay, so let me go there, and we will also do some practical over there. Now, as you know, we have various data type in SQL, right? I mean, if you can just correlate, if you guys are good in SQL, right? You can just correlate what are the data types in SQL, right? So in SQL we have, varchar, char, or maybe number, right? In Oracle especially. So those are the data types, right? I mean, we actually define a column, and then you provide data type and also size, right? But in Java, we don't actually give any size here for this, right? So first of all, what is data type, right? So data type is basically, I will say, data type specifies the size and the type of data that you can store in the particular variable. So let's say I have a variable, for example, I have int, right? Uh, I will say int roll number, right? This is this is a data type. Int is a data type, which means it will store the integer number or numbers, and the name of this particular uh, you know variable is roll number, and int is nothing but a data type, right? So if you can see here, we have two type of data types actually. One is primitive data type, which is also called intrinsic data type. So primitive data types are actually built-in data types, right? Why they are built in? Because these are actually by default provided by let's say Java, right? And they are the very basic in nature, because these basically many of these will come together and form the non-primitive data type that we will cover later, right? So that's why they are called primitive. Primitive means primary, or you can also say that these are the intrinsic, right? Or which are the basic one. You need to have it. Something like, why they are called primitive? Because let's say you want to learn you want to learn building a, let's say, some it's a word, right? In English, what you know, need to know A to Z, right? How many characters are there? How many uh, characters you have between A to Z, and you need to know it to form any kind of sentence or word, right? Similarly, these are also the very basic building. You can say that A to Z or this, right? So there are eight different uh, primitive data types, which are like byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, character. Don't worry about it. I will take each and every example and show you what does it mean, right, in ID. But for now, just know that there are eight different, how many? Eight, right? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Eight different primitive data types, right? Now, if you come down here, we have data types here, and we also say that what is the default value, right? So there is certain default value when you define this data type and you don't actually provide a value, it will take some default value that we will see later. Okay, anyways, in our practical. Now, this is the default size of that particular variable. So, for example, when I say int roll number, then roll number can int means how much is the value that it can take. So, the number you can say it's 4 byte number, right? So, int is actually 4 byte length of that particular number, right? And the value range, if you can see it, I have just put it here table for your reference. Maybe you can use it, right? So it says that for Boolean, Boolean is actually just either true or false, right? It's 1 bit, not even byte, right? So it's 1 bit, 0 or 1, correct? And then you have the character 2 byte, and this is the range basically. And then for 1 second, for byte, right? For byte, it's 1 byte, right? So 1 byte is basically 8, right? 1 byte is equal to 8 bit, right? So it's basically 2 to the power minus 2 to the power 7. So it's like this, guys, okay? 8 byte, right? So I'll say 2 to the power 8. How I say it here? Maybe 2 to the power 7, not 8, okay? 2, 2 to the power 7. Where is that, guy? 7 minus 1. So if you calculate, this will come around this actually, minus 128 to 127. This is the range. So if you want to store some value which is actually ranging between this minus 128 to 127 plus, right? Between this, you can actually use the byte data type. You don't want to waste too much of space like using short or int, right? So you can see that what is the default size, right? So probably if you have the smaller data to store, let's say you have you have company, or maybe the marks, right? Percentage or marks, something where the marks cannot be like more than 100 marks, right? For a particular subject, you can actually use byte instead of using int, because it will allow you up to 127, right? So you can actually put it something like that. So for int also we have given long. So these are the size. I think you can just take a look at it. I think these are a bit of important, but I think nobody will ask you all those things, but it's good to know that what is the value size, range size of all those, right? Now, guys, there is other data type which is called non-primitive data type in Java, and non-primitive data types are here listed. Actually, you can see class, string, array, interface, objects, right? So these are the non-primitive data types, and these are basically derived also. They are called derived. Why they are derived? Because they are actually derived based on, you can actually modify it, and they are derived based on your primitive data types itself, right? So we will understand what are those things actually later point of time, but for now you know that there are five different non-primitive data types: class, string, array, interface, and object, right? So this is all about, I think, data types. Now let's go back to IntelliJ and then try to write something here. I want to make a new file probably. So let me just go there, Java class. I'll just say what I say, data type. Okay, data type, guys. Okay, fine. We got a new class here. Now I will just say main. Okay, one second. Oops. Okay. Now if I go there, okay, public static void main. So this is kind of the main method, right? That we know. So we have to write the main method, and then you can actually, okay, now you can. Okay, now anything that you want to do in Java, it has to be executed inside the main method, right? So this is the class that we have created, and within that class we have this main method. If I write something in this, if I want to print something, for example, so system.out.print, okay, let's say it's a print, and if I say hello, how are you, right? So if I say like this, how are you, all right. Now if I say, and if I run it, okay, I need to just say current file, maybe this might work now. So okay, it's giving you something, you see the lines, red lines, right? So probably I'm missing this, right? Missing the semicolon at the end. Now it's saying it's executing precompiled task, executing precompiled task. Now it's checking something. All right, okay. Now see, it's actually able to give me the output, hello, how are you? So if you want to print something, you have to use this particular method called system.out.println right now. That's not the focus. What I want to tell you is I want to just show you how this primitive data types work, right? Primitive data types first. Primitive data types. So guys, I have used this double slash, right? Double slash will basically mean that primitive, right? Double slash means this is the comment line. It will not execute anything. If you are actually putting a double slash before any line, it will not get executed. Compiler will just keep it, right? So that's why we want to use it for the commenting anything here. Now, if I say byte, I will say roll number maybe. Okay, roll number, something like that. And then if I say 120, something like this, and then if I say system dot out dot print, fine. Now if I say I just want to print this roll number, right? Roll number, okay, here it is. Problem, guys. Okay, now let's try to run it. Okay, I just want to print the roll number. Okay, it says variable roll number, we cannot find it. Why we can't find it actually? One second. Alright guys, I think there was some issue with this variable. We were not able to, put the right name here. That's why. Okay, so now you can see it, right? So as I said, the size of this particular, byte. I'm just taking some of them, guys. I'll not demonstrate everything. You can actually do the practical on your machine, right? So if I say byte, it's ranging from minus 128 to 127, right? So let's try to put 127. This is still working, right? If I say 128, the moment I say 128 here, right here, because the range, it's going out of range, you see, we see the red line here, right? The lines here, right? If so, which means this is a compile time error probably, right? If I run it, let's see what happens. I think this is the error, right? So it says that incompatible path, possibly lost conversion from int to byte, right? This means that actually Java says that the data type that you are actually using, this is incompatible. Actually, you want to use 128, which can only be stored in integer, but you have defined the byte, right? And that's why it is a loss. It can be lost. So this is the error, and this will not execute. Now, if I say int, the moment I say int, this is gone. The the error is gone now. If I run it, I will be able to get, see, 128, right? So this is how it works, right? So that is the reason these ranges are very important. You should be able to know, right? And now if I say, let's try to take a boolean a bit about it, right? So boolean, if I say boolean here, can I put 128? No, right? Because this boolean, okay, boolean is here, right? This is boolean. Now this is giving you error already, right? So you can see here, if you put your cursor here, it will give you some error here, right? So it says the required type boolean, okay? The type, that value I am putting, the provided is int here, right? Which means this is int, but this is supposed to be boolean. So what is boolean? If I say true here, will it work? Let's see. I say true or false, right? Boolean is only true or false, right? It's one bit. Now if I run it, it will give you true. Yes, see? Or if I say false, it will just run it. Okay. Now we should be able to get false here. What if I say false one or something A, B, C or something like that? It will work? No, it will not work because it is not the right value, right? So it says that here cannot resolve symbol false, right? Because it doesn't know what is this, right? So boolean, it should be either false or true, right? The value should either be false or true, right? What if, guys, if you don't put anything now? So that is called something default value, right? So if I don't assign any value, let's see, it should be able to give you variable column might, one second. Okay, you have initialized it, okay, but you have not assigned any value, right? So you can actually initialize here like this, and then you have to assign a value. Otherwise, it will not work, right? So you have to put, let's say, boolean or true maybe here. Now it will work. You can initialize it here. This is called initialization, and this is assignment, assigning the value to it, right? So this is giving you true, right? So that's all I wanted to cover in this video, guys. You can actually try to explore around, float, double, and all. I'll also want to say that, so there are different type of okay. So if I can just tell you about booleans, this one, right? Data types, primitive data types. So let's say we have character data type. In character, what are the things we get? Char or boolean maybe. Okay, we get char or boolean, and then we get numeric data type, right? Numeric data type, in that we get int, short, long, float, double, all those things, right? I will tell you later, I think, once we proceed, what is double, what is float, what is long, why do we need all so many, right? But just to understand that there are majorly we can categorize into character type of data type, and then numerical data type for the intrinsic data type, right? But I think this is good enough for this particular session. Once we start using it in the subsequent session, I think we will be able to understand. I think this is just for your understanding that there is something called data type. Don't worry about it. And we have this kind of data types, and they can support this different type of values. If you want to store bigger, longer value, then you can actually use double, long, all those things, right? So that is the reason it is. But it is important that we understand, right, what is the range of all those, right? So that's what, guys, I wanted to cover in this video. And as I said, we will be having multiple sessions. This is just a beginning because I just wanted to cover something just to start with. Going forward, I'll try to keep the session, I think, a bit smaller, maybe probably within 15 or 20 minutes maximum, right? So that it will be easy for you also to go through, and you can actually practices together, right? So whether you are on job or if you are into if you're going to office, etc., you can actually just use few minutes, maybe half an hour. You set it aside for every day, and you keep it learning, right? Because if you learn every day, one day, it will be a big amount of your learning for you, right? So that's the reason I don't want to prolong this video, guys. But really, I mean, I think that we should continue this session, and this time, hopefully, I'll be able to continue and make do the complete video. Maybe it might take months. Okay. To be honest, I think this is a long process. Learning Java plus Selenium. I think it's a big commitment. But then I think we have to do it, right? So I sincerely think that you all should learn, and you should be able to add this additional skills in your profile, so that you are equipped with everything, right? So I think with this note, guys, I'll not take any further time, and I'll say that keep learning, happy learning, and God bless you guys. Thanks.